Okay, I wanted to do a small review on and I'm sorry I'm using my cell phone, so it's a little, let me see if it's better without the flash. Um, Probably not. So this is our Blendtec blender, and it is an amazing, amazing blender. It's the same thing as Vitamix, only it's cheaper, and we have been using this to blend Annabelle's food for a few months now. My daughter she was born 3 years ago, and my water broke at about 10 weeks or so, and she was born about 25 weeks. 1 pound, 6 ounces. She's been diagnosed with quite a bit of things. The newest thing that has just come about is a possibility, we haven't had the full test for it, is something called Cornelia de Lange, I believe it is, syndrome. And anyways, don't want to go into that, but she has many diagnoses, including autism and ID and oral aversion, and she has a sensory processing disorder and issues taking things orally, so we tube feed. Tube feeding, she's been on so many synthetic formulas. It's been ridiculous, the amount of synthetic formulas she's been on, and she's allergic to cow's milk. So every new formula they gave us that contained cow's milk, she vomited. They kept trying new formula after new formula. For over a year, she vomited every single day for over a year, and they kept saying, oh, this is normal. I knew it wasn't normal, so finally a doctor came across the home blending, and she turned me on to the idea of making my own food, and I was so scared. I was so scared to do it, and the first time I did it, I was nervous, and then now I'm several months into it, and it is a breeze. I make things ahead of time. I prepackage stuff in the fridge. So it is so easy, and she's getting an amazing amount of calories, all fresh, whole foods. She has not vomited in several months. We never thought we would see a day without vomiting, and she has not vomited in months, and she is happy, and her gut's healing. She's actually, since she stopped vomiting, started to chew on foods, and she's allowing us to touch her face and brush her teeth, and even allowing us to give her kisses. She doesn't give kisses, but we can give her kisses. And she's come a really long way since we started home blending. So I'm just going to go into a little bit of what I do and show you my recipe. So I make a homemade bone broth, and I can probably link in here in the video the recipe I use to make my bone broth, but this is the bone broth, and I usually pour in, oh, let's see, my blender's facing the wrong way. There we go. I usually pour in about a little over 8 ounces of bone broth. Bone broth has a massive amount of calories in it. I usually add garlic, onions, sometimes vegetables to my bone broth. It is just an amazing source of protein, calories, everything you can imagine for a low weight, which Annabelle has a massive low weight. Then I usually add in a little bit of rice milk. I try to get to about 12 ounces or so of liquid. She can handle about 8 to 10 ounces per meal, maybe a little bit more. But really 8 to 10 ounces. She has a volume issue where she gets too much and she will vomit. So we do about 8 to 10 ounces. So after I add in the liquid, here is this is olive oil, and I use a extra virgin cold pressed olive oil. It's organic and it's cold pressed. I buy that at Walmart. Any store should have it. So about 3 tablespoons of olive oil that I pour in. Okay. And right now, she's having issues with her digestive and her immune system, so I've been adding in garlic. So I'm going to add in 2 cloves of garlic. About 1.5 cups of, this is ground, all natural, whole, organic turkey. So about 1.5 cups of that. I usually cook it ahead of time in the crock pot, and then I store a whole big bowl of it in the fridge, and I just pull it out as I need it for her food. About a little over a cup of carrots. and those are frozen carrots. And then a whole apple, I slice it, and then I just add that in. And for fat's sake, I usually put something extra in. This is half an avocado just because I had it sitting in the fridge and I need to get rid of it, so I'm just going to add it in. Oh, there goes our little light there. But that's okay, so we will try to incorporate without the light. Flax and Chi blend. This is seeds. She has issues with her bowel movements and her digestive system. So I add this in to help with that. She gets about, let me get this open here. About a tablespoon and of flax seeds. I usually put that in, and she has, like I said, massive issues with dairy, so we never use cow's milk. We always use a rice milk or an almond milk. This rice milk is completely a Rice Dream organic. I try to use organic whenever I can for anything that has to do with her, because I figure she has enough issues going on. She doesn't need the processed crap that everybody else can take in. So there's our flax seeds. And sometimes, right now we're kind of going a little bit gluten-free for her. But sometimes if I need a little bit extra thickness, or it's just not as thick, if it's too runny, she can't handle it either. So if I need a little bit of extra thickness, I will add in some oatmeal. And these are just quick oats, and I'll usually do about a cup of that, maybe half a cup, depending. Or this is an organic rice baby cereal, and I can add that in to thicken things up, and this is gluten-free. So, and it's organic, so that's a plus. That's just beech nut rice. Okay, so I think we have everything in here, and it'll get a little bit loud here for a second. But I'm going to press the button on here. It says whole juice, and we usually do that twice just to make sure everything gets processed through. Okay, and this actually looks like it might be a little thick. The consistency, you can't really, I'm having trouble with my lighting. But it's going to end up being a little bit thick. So what I'm going to do is reach over here. Let's see. And I have a prune juice that I use. Again, she has issues pooping, so I will add in maybe like about 2 ounces of prune juice, and then I'll reblend. So we can get that a little bit smoother. Apologize for the loud. This actually looks like it's a really good consistency. So what I would do is go ahead and pour it into containers. I'm trying to start out at 9 ounces and try to even it out into 4 feedings. We usually do 4 feedings a day. So if it ends up being too much, and I know this is the amount of calories she needs, but it's too much for 4 feedings, what I will do is I will do 4 feedings, and then whatever's left over, probably like snack size is what it'll be. And then I will take that little snack and I'll give it to her while she's sleeping. Or I will incorporate it in the day, and we still end up getting it in all of her calories. And I mean, with the baby formula that they had her on, the synthetic crappy formulas that they had her on, she wasn't gaining any weight, and she was barely getting any calories. And the calories she was getting, she wasn't keeping down because she was vomiting anyways. But with this, she gets about 12 to 1,300 calories a day. And for an active 3-year-old, that's exactly what she should be getting. Their formulas were giving her less than 1,000 calories a day. And to me, that was just a little bit ridiculous. So I do use any sort of baby bottle. Baby bottles that have lids, or I get lids. Most breast milk containers have lids. I use breast milk containers to hold her food in the fridge, and I just put this, I make her food the night before or the day of, and I put it in the refrigerator and I store it, and we use that food that day. Then I make it fresh. So she's getting fresh food every day. You can make a couple days ahead if you want, but she's getting fresh food every day. And